Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to discuss about the third lecture regarding the neoplasia. The objectives for today's lecture, we are going to discuss the etiology of cancer, the host and environmental factors, clinical manifestations including the tissue integratory, cancer cachexia and the paraneoplastic syndromes. Discussing the etiology of cancer, it includes the genetic and molecular mechanisms which characterize the transformation of normal cells to cancer cells, the external and more contextual factors such as age, heredity, and environmental agents that contribute to the development and progression of cancer. The host and environmental factors. The host factors including the heredity, hormonal factors, immunological mechanisms, environmental factors, chemicals, radiations, and the cancer-causing viruses. Discussing the immune system. Development of cancer may be associated with impairment or decline in the surveillance capacity of the immune system. Increases in cancer incidence have been observed in patients with immunodeficiency diseases and in those with organ transplants who are receiving immunosuppressant drugs. Incidence is increased in older adults. Most tumor cells have molecular configurations that can be specifically recognized by immune T cells or by antibodies, and hence are termed as tumor antigens. All of the components of the immune system have the potential for eradicating cancer cells, including T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, and antibodies, macrophages, and natural killer cells. The T cell response is undoubtedly one of the most important host responses for controlling the growth of antigenic tumor cells. It is responsible for direct killing of tumor cells and for activation of other components of the immune system. Antibodies can destroy cancer cells through complement-mediated mechanisms or through antibody-dependent cellular cytotoxicity. Macrophages are important in tumor immunity as antigen-presenting cells to initiate the immune response and as potential effector cells to participate in tumor cell lysis. Now discussing the carcinogen. What is a carcinogen? It is an agent capable of causing cancer. They can be chemical and environmental agents which are known to be carcinogenic in humans. Chemical carcinogens can be divided into two groups: direct reacting agents which do not require activation in the body to become carcinogenic, indirect reacting agents called procarcinogens or initiators which become active only after metabolic conversion. Now looking at this, we are going to look at some chemical and environmental agents which are known to be carcinogenic. Polycyclic hydrocarbons, soot, tars, oils and cigarette smoke, industrial agents, aniline and azodyes, arsenic compounds, asbestos, beta-naphthalene, benzene, benzopyrene, carbon tetrachloride, insecticides, fungicides, nickel and chromium compounds, polychlorinated biphenyls, vinyl chloride, food and drugs including smoke foods, nitrosamines, alpha toxin B, diethyl stilbestrol, anti-cancer drugs, example alkylating agents, cyclophosphamide, chlorambucil, nitrosourea. And the smoking causes lung, laryngeal cancer and other cancers. Tobacco is a cause of cancer of the esophagus, oral cavity and lung. Diethyl stilbestrol causes vaginal adenosis and adenocarcinomas in young women. Radiation. The ionizing radiation. The atomic bomb survivors, people diagnostically exposed, and in industrial workers, scientists and physicians who were exposed during employment to radiation, they have a history of developing malignant epitheliomas of the skin and leukemia. 25 to 30 years after total body or trunk irradiation, there were increased incidence of leukemia and cancers of the breast, lung, stomach, thyroid, salivary gland, gastrointestinal system and lymphoid tissues. 2 to 3 years after birth, this period for leukemia extends to 5 to 10 years if the child was exposed after birth, and to 20 years for certain solid tumors. Then there is ultraviolet radiation, which is a cause of skin cancer like squamous cell carcinoma and basal cell carcinoma. Now studying the oncogenic viruses. An oncogenic virus is the one that can induce cancer. 4 DNA viruses have been identified in human cancers: the human papilloma virus, Epstein virus, hepatitis B virus, human herpes virus 8 which causes Kaposi sarcoma in people with AIDS. Human papilloma virus causes benign squamous papilloma, squamous cell carcinoma of the cervix and anogenital region. And Epstein-Barr virus, member of the herpes family, has been implicated in the pathogenesis of 4 human cancers: lymphomas, Burkitt lymphoma, nasopharyngeal cancer, B-cell lymphomas in immunosuppressed people such as those with AIDS, and in some cases of Hodgkin lymphoma. Hepatitis B virus is the etiological agent in the development of hepatitis B, cirrhosis, and hepatocellular carcinoma. And human T-cell leukemia virus 1 is associated with a form of T-cell leukemia. Clinical manifestations. Cancer produces generalized manifestations such as fatigue, anorexia, cachexia, anemia, decreased resistance to infections, and symptoms are unrelated to the tumor site, paraneoplastic syndromes. Discussing the tissue integrity. Cancer disrupts the tissue integrity. Cancers grow, they compress, they erode the blood vessels, they cause ulceration and necrosis along with bleeding and sometimes hemorrhage. Cancer cells produce enzymes and metabolic toxins that are destructive to the surrounding tissue. As it grows, it invades and compresses adjacent structures. Discussing the systemic manifestations. Cancer causes anorexia and cachexia, and anorexia and cachexia causes cancer anorexia cachexia syndrome. This is characterized by weight loss, wasting of the body fat, and muscle tissue, accompanied by profound weakness, anorexia, and anemia. The mechanisms of cancer cachexia appear to reside in a hypermetabolic state and alter nutrient metabolism that are specific to the tumor-bearing site. Tumors tend to consume large amount of glucose with a resultant increase in lactate formation. Because tumor oxygen levels are too low to support citric acid cycle and mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation, the lactate produced then circulate back to the liver where it is converted back to glucose. The production of gluconeogenesis from lactate use ATP and is very energy inefficient, and it contributes to the hypermetabolic state of cachectic people. Persistent inflammatory response in conjunction with production of specific cytokines, inflammatory cytokines, and catabolic factors by the tumor. The cytokines acute phase response is activated by the cytokines such as the tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 1, interleukin 6, and high levels of cytokines are seen in people with cancer. The tumor necrosis factor is secreted by the macrophages in response to tumor cell growth, and it causes anorexia by suppressing the satiety centers in the hypothalamus, and it causes increased secretion of lipoproteins, lipase, an enzyme that will facilitate the release of fatty acid from lipoproteins so they can be used by tissues. Fat loss from adipose tissue increase lipolysis, and it contributes to the loss of total body fat. Now, cancer also causes fatigue and sleep disorder. It is characterized by feelings of tiredness, weakness, and lack of energy, and is distant from the normal tiredness experienced by healthy people in that it is not relieved by rest or sleep. The basic mechanism of fatigue has been characterized into two: peripheral and central. Peripheral, which occurs in the neuromuscular junction and muscles, and it results from inability of the neuromuscular apparatus to perform the tasks in response to central stimulation. And central fatigue arises in the central nervous system and is often described as difficulty in initiating or maintaining voluntary activity. Then there is anemia. There is blood loss, hemolysis, impaired red cell production, or treatment effects. Now let us discuss the paraneoplastic syndromes. Cancer produces manifestations in sites that are not directly affected by the disease. Such manifestations are collectively referred to as paraneoplastic syndromes. The cause is production of circulating factors that produce hematopoietic, neurogenic, and dermatological syndrome. These syndromes are most commonly associated with lung, breast, and hematological malignancies. The paraneoplastic syndromes may be the earliest indication that a person has cancer. Looking at this chart, you can see the different kinds of paraneoplastic syndromes: endocrinological, hematologic, dermatologic, and renal. Endocrinological includes syndrome of inappropriate ADH, ACTH, Cushing syndrome, humoral hypercalcemia. And syndrome of inappropriate ADH, you have the mechanism is production and release of ADH by the tumor. In ACTH Cushing syndrome, there is production and release of ACTH by the tumor. Humoral hypercalcemia, there is production and release of polypeptide factor with close relationship to parathyroid hormones. And hematological causes include venous thrombosis, non-bacterial thrombolytic endocarditis, and anemia of malignancy. Neurological causes include Ayrton-Lambert syndrome. There is autoimmune production of antibodies to motor endplanes, and in myasthenia gravis, there is autoimmune generating abnormal neuron transmission. Dermatological causes include cutaneous syndromes, acanthosis nigricans, pemphigus, ichthyosis, extramammary Paget's disease. And the renal causes include the nephrotic syndrome. Diagnosis is focused on identifying the cause of the disorder and in locating the malignancy responsible for it. Treatment of the underlying cancer is the treatment and suppression of mediator causing the syndrome. Thank you.